Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Indiana Von Patience Dangaru. Welcome to Learn Autism with Indy. So today I'll be exploring on the sensory wall of the autistic spectrum. We are all familiar with the 5 senses, but today I will be introducing 2 new senses. One is the sense of balance and the second is body awareness. I'm going to explain how it affects children with autism. First of all, I'll start with the sense of touch, which is the tactile system. The tactile system is the largest organ in the body, which is the skin, and it relates to touch, pressure, level of pain. It also helps children to distinguish temperature between cold and hot, and it also helps children to relate to the environment. Now, for children with autism spectrum disorder, I will be explaining based on 2 terms. First is the hypo and second is the hyper. So for each sense organ, I'm going to explain how it affects the child if the child is on the hypo section or if the child is on the hyper. Now, what is hypo? Hypo is simply very low sensitivity to that particular sense organ, while hyper means the child has a very high sensitivity to that particular sense organ. Now, let's look at hypo on the tactile system. When the child holds tightly to others, when the child enjoys heavy objects being pressed on him, or when the child has high pain or temperature threshold, you notice that the child falls on the hypo. Then on the hyper, when the child prefers certain types of clothing textures, when he dislikes touch, some children with autism, when you touch them, they just go off because that little touch causes them pain. Yeah, you don't know, but that little touch causes them pain. That's why when you try to hold them, they run away from you because they don't want you to touch them. A little touch can cause pain to them. Please always remember that. So what we advise is always stretch out your hand, let the child hold you. When the child doesn't want to hold you, please just let the child be. Another aspect is if the child dislikes having anything on his hands or feet. So some of them don't like shoes. Some of them don't like holding anything in their hands. For example, they dislike brushing and washing their hairs. Yeah, even feeding. Some of them will not want to hold the spoon. They prefer you feed them. Yeah, so moving to the second one. The second one is the sense of smell, which is the olfactory system. Now, smell is the sense that is often neglected, but it is the first sense we rely on. Yes, it is the first sense we rely on. So how does this process occur? It occurs by processing the chemical receptors in the nose. That is what helps us to know what smell is in a particular environment, or how a particular food smells. Now, of course, I'll be explaining in relation to the environment around the child. So, for some children with autism, they may have no sense of smell at all, or they may fail to notice extreme odors, and they are most likely to lick any object they come across. They can just grab it, put it in their mouth. They cannot identify the smell. Yeah, so for children who shows these characteristics, it means that they are hypo. They are hypo on the olfactory system, while others who are hyper, who actually have toileting problems, the smells can be intensified, and become overpowering. They dislike individuals with distinctive perfumes or particular body odor. So sometimes, on the opposite, you see some children with autism coming close to a particular person, even though they are just seeing the person for the first time. Check properly. They might be attracted because of the person's smell or perfume. Yes. So the third one, which is the sight, the visual system. Our sight helps us to define objects, colors, people, contrasts, and spatial boundaries. It is situated in the retina of the eye and activated by light, which means we cannot see if there is no light. Yes. Now, for children with autism, possible differences could include, for those on the hypo section, they have poor depth perception, so they have problems with throwing and catching ball. So there's this exercise we usually do. You throw a ball to the child and the child will catch the ball and throw it back to you. So for children who find it difficult in this eye-hand coordination, means that they actually have visual challenges, and the category it falls is the hypo. Yeah, some may have blurred visions, some might be very clumsy in their activities, and every object may appear darker to them. Yes, that is the hypo category. Now, looking at the hyper, they have fragmentation of images. They may tend to focus on a particular object instead of focusing on the object as a whole. Yeah, so let's say okay, we'll explain that later. They have distorted vision, and they easily get distracted when looking at the whole picture of an object. Yeah. Now, moving further, the fourth one, which is the hearing. The hearing has to do with the auditory system. Now, this is the most commonly recognized aspect of sensory impairment. The auditory system informs us about sounds in the environment, and the differences on a child with autistic include, for those on the hypo, the child may enjoy crowded, noisy environments. Yeah, the child may enjoy crowded, noisy environments. The child may like to bang doors on objects. He just likes loud sounds. Sounds may be heard with one ear. Please pay attention. With the other ear having partial hearing or none at all. So this is one of the reasons why we always include hearing tests during assessment of children with autism spectrum disorder. Now, for those who may show differences under the hyper section of the auditory system, you see that they may have lower hearing threshold. They are sensitive to particular auditory stimuli. For example, they could hear conversation at a distance, or they could hear their parent's voice at a distance, and then they start throwing tantrums because they may want to be with their parents. Now, some may have the inability to cut out particular sounds. So let's say a teacher is teaching and they are finding it difficult to understand because of the various sounds that comes into their system, which may lead to difficulty in concentration during learning. Hearing impairment can have a direct effect on the ability to communicate and balance. Remember, balance is one of the new senses that I added. Yeah, so we are going to be discussing it much later. The fifth one is the taste. Now, this system makes use of chemical receptors in the tongue to tell us about different tastes, which include sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and spicy. Some children will often have restricted diets as a result of their taste buds being extra sensitive. So, for autistic spectrum, it could be that under the hypo, we have the picker. The picker is the one that eats everything. He can eat soil, he can eat grass, he can eat crayon, he can even eat poo. That is why we always supervise them when they go to use the restroom. The picker eats different kinds of materials, and he also likes spicy foods. Now, when a child shows this kind of characteristics, it means that he has challenges in the sense of taste, and the category which a child falls is the hypo. Now, looking at the hyper child eats food with particular texture. He dislikes flavored and spicy food. He may only eat smooth foods, for example, ice cream or mashed potatoes. The child may find it difficult to chew rice, grains, and all that. The sixth one is the body awareness, which is the proprioception system. Now, this is situated in the muscles and the joints. It tells us where our body is, whether it is on motion or it is static. Now, on the autistic spectrum, what should we look out for? On the hypo section, the child may easily bump into other children. The child may have lack of awareness of personal space. The child may have difficulty in navigating rooms in the house. And the child may likely will prefer to stand very close to other people. Now, on the hyper section, discover that the child has difficulty with fine motor skills, manipulating small objects like buttoning, tying shoelaces, pencil grip, which affects writing, holding spoon, and all that. This is part of the body awareness, and it is called proprioception. This is a new sense. This is a new sense that I'm trying to introduce to you. It affects the children with autism. So the seventh one is the balance, which is also known as the vestibular system. So this system is situated in the inner ear. It provides us with information on where our body is in space and its speed, direction, and movement, all in relation to the pull of gravity. It is fundamental in helping us to keep our balance and posture. Now, on the autistic spectrum, differences may be that if an individual is fond of rocking or swinging or spinning, he may fall under hypo. While if the child is having difficulty in initiating activities like movement, sports, difficulty in stopping quickly or during an activity, when you tell the child stop, the child finds it difficult to stop, then the child falls on the category of hyper. Remember, two key things I'm using to explain is the hypo and the hyper, which will aid us in knowing the exact category the child fall under autistic spectrum. I earlier said that there are no two children with autism spectrum disorder that are the same. They have a lot of differences. The essence of this class is to assist us in differentiating their sensory needs, their sensory dysfunction. So after noticing this, what do we do? What we do is to design a sensory diet, to design a sensory integration therapy for these children. Now, for every senses that I've mentioned, we have its own intervention. For every senses that we mention, we have its own different intervention. And remember, the intervention falls on both the hypo and the hyper. The intervention you give for a child with hyper is not the same intervention you give a child with hypo. If you want to learn more on the sensory integration therapy, kindly visit our website on www.indieeducationalconsult.com, or just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. My Instagram handle is @IndianaVon_Dangaru, while on Facebook You get me as Indiana Von Patience Dangaru. Once again, thank you for tuning in. I'll be here to answer your questions. Do have a wonderful evening. Bye.